Hey everyone, sup? You Eurovision fools, it's Matt, ES United, your favorite Eurovision channel, and it is over. Hope you have a wonderful Saturday night. It's still fairly early here in California, but Vidbir, the Ukrainian national final, the first of the season, which is odd, usually not the case, but we got an early song and we got a lot to talk about, and I cannot wait to hear from you, and I hope you cannot wait to hear from me because there's a lot to talk about. And thank you everyone for joining this chat. I see Rebecca saying sup Matt, sup right back to you. Hello ESC Manga, Aussie Rose, you're all here, everyone. It is wonderful to have you, and I hope you all watched the show Vidbir, which just came to a close. Basically, I mean, it's kind of wrapping it up right now, and we got to talk about it. I have so many thoughts, and of course we have other Eurovision related stuff we have to go through, so I will dive right into it. So as always, make sure to like this video right away, because that way it helps me in the algorithm. And of course, if you're new to this, subscribe, because that always helps. I will talk to you as much as possible in the chat. When you talk to me, make sure you say at ES United, so I know you are talking to me and not amongst each other. Okay, so as pointed out, Vidbir, the Ukrainian national final came to a close. It was the earliest, and there are some few things we need to point out, isn't that the actual show was put basically in a basement if you're underneath a metro station, and during the show you heard sometimes train going above them or next to them, probably above them, and you could actually hear it on TV, which is a unique experience, but we all know why that is. So, but that being said, let's think about this, how they put this together, where it was, where it happened, during what time, and the limit amount of space that they had to do, and yet they put this together. And in my humble opinion, at least, it looked fantastic. I was tweeting about it, so that, like, is this a Melody Festivalen stage? Like, yes, you can see there was very limited space, but considering they did the camera work and the lighting and everything else so well, and I was thoroughly entertained. I thought it was wonderfully done, and I hope everyone enjoyed the show as much as I did. Whether or not you agree with the winner we're going to talk about is a different story, but the show overall was wonderful. We had, of course, 3 hosts guiding us through the show. Interestingly enough, Timur, who is basically the main host, I felt as he was basically the host, right? The 2 ladies, Slata, and you just didn't see them much. And that surprised me a little bit, but who needs it, because Timur is perfect for this. And I anticipate him to be one of the hosts in Liverpool. You hear it right here, right now. And I know what some of you are saying, like he already hosted a few years ago, pick somebody else. No, why fix something that's not broken? I thought he did it. So anyways, the show, we had 10 songs, and it was a very interesting setup. It was basically over the course of over 4 hours that this occurred. It was supposed to be 2 hours of music, right? The 10 songs that are in the running, and then 1 hour of a documentary focusing on KRUTьH Orchestra, the winners of the 2022 contest, and then another hour basically for the results, jury and televote. Of course, as expected, in Ukraine, they ran over time. So I think we were like 2 hours and 40 minutes into the show. That's when they finally made for the 10 songs, all the clips and whatnot. And then they finally went into the documentary, and then we had the show. So overall, though, they caught up a little, and we were only late, less than 15 minutes. So that is quite impressive. So yes, the results part went certainly quite fast. And as it's tradition in Vidbir, 50% comes from the juries and 50% comes from the televote. And I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but if you do, do it now. I was basically telling you throughout the entire show how impressed I was, and also shared my favorites. And let's just say, let's get it out of the way right now. The jury's second place and the televoters' first place ended up the winner. So congratulations to Tvorchi, Heart of Steel. What an interesting result. A lot of people, you can say, did not expect that to happen. They were the last act of the night to perform, and when they came second in the jury vote, I was like, okay, well, I don't believe that they're going to go as high with the televote, but show was wrong. They won, which came as the big surprise to me. I don't know if the running order helped or people just really liked the song, but that is just basically how it all ended up. The song that came overall combined in second place was, I still don't know how to pronounce the name, KRUTьь Koleskova, and she won the televote. Excuse me, she won the jury vote and came third with the public. And she was maybe considered one of the potential winners. And then third place was, I think, arguably the fan favorite and the betting odds favorite, Jerry Heil, When God Shut the Door. Came in third place overall, third with the juries, and then second over. Oh God, my brain just totally went away. Second in the public vote. So those were the top three, but we all know only one act can go to Eurovision. And we all know Ukraine, there's always some last minute switch up. Somebody goes, somebody doesn't. But we are pretty sure that Tvorchi, Heart of Steel, will be the act in Liverpool for Ukraine. And they have the honor, or the privilege, I should say, to skip the semis as the winner. They were given, even though they're not hosting it, but since they won, they were giving a direct final spot, rightfully so. So the question is, what is going on? A lot of people were surprised by the outcome. Some people were happy, some people are not, because I do, as I pointed out, Jerry Heil, she was the fan favorite early on, but there were other ones. FIINKA, Довбуш was very popular. KRUTьь was, there are others, but Tvorchi was not really talked about by a lot. So I would love to hear your thoughts as well now in the chat, as I'm picking them up at ESC United in the chat. Now, for me personally, yes, I did not expect that per se. I was wondering, well, they're going last, and this is often a thing at Vidbir, that the last song tends to be very popular and does very well. So I don't know if it's really just a very popular song in Ukraine, people liked it the most, or if they have some sort of fan base. I'm not trying to take anything away from the win. That is up to Ukrainians for whatever reason. Plus, the juries put it really high as well. I was very surprised. It sounded to me like some Usher 2000 song to me. And that is actually a compliment, because I usually like that kind of music. In the studio version, I had a zero opinion about this one. It went right past me. It was like, well, ending the run up with a very like whatever song. Then I saw it live. I'm like, okay, this is actually way more enjoyable than I expected to be. Great vocals, great stage presence. So I put it like maybe right smack down in the middle of my ranking, which is higher than I anticipated. And ending it up as the winner, winning the televote. That is the biggest surprise to me. So I don't know if there are any Ukrainians in the chat or anyone who's familiar with the scene. Are they really a popular act and had just a head start, or was that song really just overlooked and people truly liked it? Let me see some of the comments. Rebecca said, I really like the winner. The staging got the message through. That is true. As I said, the performance I liked as well. I just don't think this is a song that will leave an impact at Eurovision. It just seems, there's a difference to me. I always try to point that out between dated and retro song, right? Retro, you can do right and it works. Dated feels like it doesn't work to me. And I'm worried that this song feels a little dated. That being said, I'm a big fan of the singer. I thought that he was fantastic, lots of charisma, and they can make it work. They can make it work. So I'm a little bit worried, but Ukraine also has a reputation. They won now 3 times. Every time they win, the following year, they kind of flop in the finals. So I don't know if they're going to continue that tradition or not. This may actually, I think, has a much better shot than the last 2 host entries. Host entries, I'm using that term lightly due to the circumstances. But I think this has the potential to actually do decent at the contest. I don't think it's going to be the one that's going people will be talking about. It is also very premature because guess what? We have 1 out of 37 songs right now, so you don't know that. That is funny. Ruben says, "You're so intelligent." Thank you. It does give me Usher 2000 vibes. Yeah, it does, right? It gives me a little bit of that vibe. And again, love Usher, loved his music in the 2000s. So I just don't know. It feels very American to me. Do you know what I mean? And certain American music translate well on international stages. Certain music does not. Same goes with European music. Some music is mostly from the UK, but works here, but then others do not because it's a different audience. So I'm just curious to see if this is something that will work for the masses at Eurovision. So I am very curious. ESC Nocturne is saying KRUTьь was so robbed. Ballad struggle at Televote in Vidbir, I think. I'd have to go back, but 1944 one, right? So that, I guess you can make a case, did really well. And then the song that, and I cannot think of the name right now, that actually initially won the whole thing last year and then had to be disqualified because of circumstances. Although they came only second, they won it overall. So ballads can certainly succeed at Vidbir. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It was a beautiful song. It still did really well, right? In the televote, 3rd place. It really, really touched me. I loved it to bits. My personal top 3 were FIINKA, KRUTьь, Jerry Heil, not in that order in particular. They all came in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place, respectively, which is very interesting. That one just went right past me. So when will we know if they'll actually go to Liverpool? Drea is saying, well, they will go to Liverpool unless there is some sort of last-minute change, disqualification, or change of heart. But usually the winner of Vidbir is the official representative. This is not like Italy, right? Sanremo, where you sometimes see like, we're not sure. Only though, since they returned from the contest, it only happened once that the eventual winner didn't go, right? In 2016. No, wait. 2012. Like early on, there was another one, I think. But as recently. So usually Vidbir winner goes. We just have Vidbir is notorious for dramatic aftermath effects. Nothing to do with like the war I'm talking about. I'm really referring to just the actual setup and drama, and it's just what it is. But assuming nothing's going to happen there, they should be fine. So no worries. Heart of Steel had like 500,000 views before the show on Tvorchi's channel, so that was an alarm to me that they might be a dark horse. Very interesting that you brought that up. I actually often go and check the views as well. It doesn't always tell the whole story, but it tells if there is already an existing fan base or a certain popularity that could really catapult a song ahead. So I'm curious to see if the Ukrainian people will be behind that song, or if there's going to be this whole like, oh, the fan base overruled us. And once again, I'm making assumptions here because we don't know for sure if that is going to be the case. So, but yeah, so it was a very interesting outcome. I want to take a look at some of the other songs that were actually in the running. So interestingly enough, this was the first song, I'm Not Alone. I was a little bit disheartened to see this one come dead last in the jury vote. The jury got that wrong. I don't necessarily like the fact that in Ukraine you only have 3 people come up with the ranking. There should be a little bit more of representation because that was wrong. Fortunately, the televoters put it a little higher, I think in 5th place overall, therefore brings it up a little bit up in the ranking. Some people were talking about a sound system afterwards, that this is a dark horse. I personally did not see the appeal myself. It got 5 points with the juries and only 2 points in the public vote, so second to last there. Overall, 8th place. I was surprised when people started talking about it. I like experimental music, but this one just seems a little bit, just a little much in my perspective. Then DEMCHUK Alive, probably one of the more mainstream songs that we have in the running there. It felt like more like a Danish national final entry to me. And that's not an insult, but it felt so non-Ukrainian to me, which always threw me. The jury quite liked it with 7 points. The public vote gave it only 4. Therefore, a 5th place overall, smack down in the middle, nothing to be embarrassed about. And then, yeah, Jerry Heil, lots of interest, lots of hype around it, came in 3rd place overall. Only, I'm using only quotation marks here, when God shut the door. Once again, jury 3rd place, public vote 2nd place was not quite enough to catch the others, and therefore 3rd place. And I'm sure lots of fans will be upset. I almost thinking that FIINKA, in hindsight, was potentially my favorite song. I just loved the energy of the song. And yes, it sounded a little messy, but I was absolutely into it. And it felt so Ukrainian to me. Came only 5th with the juries, but 4th with the public vote over 4th place. Well deserved. I was hoping I would have not been sad if this would have won. Then KRUTьь, as we talked about a few times, came 1st with the juries, then 3rd with the televoters, which translate to still a 2nd place with 18 points overall. Then the rest, Tember Blanche, I vaguely remember them. It's just a song that just would not stick with me in any shape or form. That came in 9th place, 2 from the juries, 3 from the public. Yeah, it's that nothing of that song stood with me. Then Angelina, Stronger, she flopped. She came in 10th place, therefore last, unfortunately, especially with the public vote. They just did not care for it. And then not last but not least, and the second to last was Two Stone. I keep forget the name. They came in 6th place overall, somewhere in middle. Similar feel. It wasn't quite as memorable as it should have been. And then last but not least, the winners, Heart of Steel, Tvorchi, and I'm sure they're gonna do their best they can to make their country proud, even though it was not on May radar in terms of popularity. Aknik said, I don't really care about any of these entries, really, but the improvised Vidbir sound better than the Germany's national final last year. That's what I said on Twitter earlier as well, that they need to send some of the producers from Vidbir to other more wealthy countries like Germany. They have all that money, and then it just doesn't sound or look good at all. Put the song quality aside, just the whole feel, it just doesn't feel that way. This is tight. This was so well executed. And there was another very interesting dialogue happening on Twitter that I want to pick up on. And it is, I do think, because we have this tendency at Eurovision to pick all these Swedish or other Western European countries to host the show, not host, but produce the show and do all that, and do the input and model it after that. I think it would not hurt. One of my friends from Aussievision pointed that out in particular. Big shout out to them. That maybe we should learn something from the Eastern European countries who we often neglect listening to their advice, because Ukraine obviously always qualifying and putting together. Yes, you can make a case about some of the drama that's happening behind the scenes, but it's often more political more than anything, with the disqualification of last year's entry because of the whole travel thing and some other circumstances. But in terms of production quality, that is pretty good. And I think people enjoy that. I understand that you cannot have the exact show like you have in Ukraine, because, it's slow pace and people like it a little faster. And I personally don't necessarily care for jury's comments influencing people's votes. Maybe that happened as well here. I don't know. I think that you should focus on the music, but it is nice to have a little bit more of a, feel, and not like just the rush. So I do think that they can learn a lot from that, at least in my opinion. Connor Wells is saying Vidbir puts the other national finals to shame. To produce it from a bomb shelter is quite incredible, especially considering Kyiv was under bombardment yesterday. I think you summarized it perfectly here. It is just amazing. And it's like and it was a very emotional experience almost for me, because you watch it and you enjoy it and you love the music and you love the whole experience. And then you hear the train rattling as you were, during an interview, and you're just like, oh my God, they're in you know it, but you sometimes forget for a little while because you get so into the show, and then you're being reminded of what is going on in Ukraine. And it was such a, I don't think I actually hope we will never ever have to experience like this and ever again, and that by come next year, this is all just done. But considering what they're going through, what is done, it's just like you're entertained, and then you're also just being reminded of real life. And it was just so impactful, in my opinion. So it was just a beautiful thing to witness, in my opinion. Larindi is asking, do you think that Ukraine have a great possibility to miss the top 10 since many years until they put a revamp and great staging? Larindi, I mean, I did kind of like the staging, actually. But again, it feels to me a little dated. I just made the comparison to like Usher in the 2000s, and maybe that'll work. But it seems almost like too American to me for it to work on the big Eurovision crowd stage. And sometimes it does, but this seems almost too niche a little bit. It's too early to say because we have 1 out of 37 songs. But if you just look at the song and just judge it based on its own merits, it would be the kind of song that I could see Ukraine do less well with. I could see, though, a really good result in the jury vote. And some people are just saying they're going to get the boost still, Ukraine, next year as well. We shall see about that. We're still far out. But I do think it is on paper. On paper, I don't necessarily think this screams top 10 to me. But we have seen songs that didn't scream top 10 and then completely blew us away. Some people mentioned in the chat as well, maybe we need some sort of revamp. Totally fair. I think there could be a little bit more punch that the song needs. And as I pointed out earlier, remember 25 and 2017 when Ukraine was directly qualified for the finals, just like they flopped, right? So there is a potential that this could happen. I'm not saying it will, but I will have to see the competition. But it just doesn't strike me as a song that will do well. It seems more catered to like niche taste rather than a broad taste. But once again, this could still be something the juries will go for. I do see a lot of jury potential. I think it's a very charismatic and great singer. And that to me, because again, it was probably like maybe my number 7 or 8 before the show. And then it did climb up a little bit in my ranking as well, because there was something that I also bought live. It was not anywhere near enough for me to put it as a winner. Bummer. But yeah. So it was interesting because there's so many interesting songs. Yeah, I mean, When God Shut the Door is maybe the exception, and Heart of Steel, maybe. I don't know. Because we had so many. I know there are others as well, stronger. So it was a mix between Ukrainian and English. Somebody mentioned in the chat that maybe they should integrate some Ukrainian lyrics. I think I like the idea as well of that as well. But from an artistic perspective, is the singer American or is he Ukrainian? I'm only asking because I vaguely listened to their winning comment speech there, and he was speaking in English. So I don't know if he doesn't speak Ukrainian or he wanted to use this opportunity to speak to the masses. So I am not 100% sure. So I'm curious. Age is saying, do you remember the previous entry, Bonfire? Was a better song, but he didn't execute it vocally like today. Age, I would have to listen to it again. What year was it? Was it last year or when? I mean, since it's an old song, I've listened to it before International Final. I don't remember it. So I'm glad that he's Nigerian. Okay, so he still doesn't speak Ukrainian. He speaks English, therefore he spoke English. Okay, but his English was really, really good. Like he had like a, yeah. So that's why I wasn't sure. He almost had like an American accent. So that's, I mean, to be fair, I wasn't like paying close attention. So I'm a little off. I was getting ready for this. So, oh, no, wait, Julia's not saying one is American. You guys are confusing me. So, oh, he's Nigeria. The singer is from Nigeria. He was a student in Ukraine when he met Andrew. Got it. Thank you for the specifics. I will look them up later anyways, because, I didn't do a whole lot of research on this particular act because it wasn't on my radar. But hey, that's just how the cookie crumbles. I'm very curious as to see what I'm almost too scared to go on social media. As we're talking, I'm typing in the word Vidbir on Twitter, and Twitter is notoriously a cesspool. But I wanted to see some of the more recent comments and see if there's anything too scary. Not yet. So I don't want to click. I mean, there's so many. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. I think there's a little bit more. I think disbelief rather than hatred, which is good. Which is good. You can be shocked. You can be disappointed, but don't hate. So based on the comments right now, it seems people are just like, eh, all right, that was not really what I thought was going to happen. But sometimes we see. I mean, my favorite is always Spain of last year. Remember when Chanel won, and the people were so pissed. The fans, right? They're like, oh, we're gonna tear this place apart. And then come Eurovision, they were all like the big Chanel stands and loved it. So maybe we can expect something like here. So, like France in junior, Ruben says, yes, that was despicable, disgusting, and it still pisses me off, especially with children. As a grown up, it still sucks. It's still unfair and it's inappropriate in my view, but at least you know what you're getting yourself into. These children just want to have fun. And little Lissandra had to leave social media because, grown up dickheads cannot even take a little bit of disagreement. And sorry, that really upsets me. So you triggered me, Ruben. You triggered me. Anyways, yes, so that is certainly the outcome of today. And if you have any other thoughts of the other acts, the hosting, the whole experience in Ukraine, Vidbir, now is your chance to send that in the chat, as always, at ESC United, and I will address them to the best of my abilities, and we'll go from there. Ruben is putting a theory out there as well, thinking that they won because they could do best in Liverpool. I don't think, honestly, people don't think it through that much. I don't think people analyze it. Okay, I like this song, but I think this was da-da-da. Oh, for the most part, especially Ukraine, from what I'm hearing, what I know, they just vote for the songs that they like the best. I remember, because I speak the language in Germany, in the past, they tried to do that with the juries when they had, well, we need to think about not just what we like, but what would do well at Eurovision in 2017 when Levina, who came second to last, she won she had 2 songs in the running, and her other song did way better in the televote. But then the juries came in, we have already so many ballots and we shouldn't be sending this song. And then sure enough, the televoters listened to the juries and they picked the other song all of a sudden. So there are certain circumstances where that happens when the juries really push for it, but I don't believe, if somebody speaks Ukrainian and heard any of that, let me know if they pushed something like that. But on paper, people don't really think it through that much. So that's basically where we had it. Jelly saying, I don't think Tvorchi's song is dated to me. It sounds quite modern. I think the beat is very interesting and his voice sounds very special. Yeah, comes down to personal taste. I personally have said I've heard this kind of music a lot in the 2000s, and maybe it has a comeback in the 2020s now. So if that's the case, then so it is. But yeah, to me, it just, that's all I heard, was 2000s R&B-ish kind of sound. And it's usually music I kind of like because I came to America in the 2000s. And so there's a little bit dear to my heart, that kind of music. Have a lot of fond memories. And I think this song really just won me over, like certainly grew on me live. So, but I don't think this will be kind of song that I will seek out in on Spotify or whatever. So, but that is just comes to personal taste. That just comes down to it. So, yep, that is what it is. We have our first song, and I thought Jamal was extremely rude to some contestants, especially FIINKA. There was definitely a jury impact when it comes to songs by FIINKA and Jerry. So, see, thank you for bringing that up, Sid Hart. I'm so sorry if I butchered that name, but I can barely say my own name. I want to hear more about that if you can, because I don't speak Ukrainian, believe it or not. But I did see some comments on Twitter referring to Jamala being rude, like they're making even fun about it, putting memes and gifs. I'm like, oh no, what did she do now? Jamala, bless her heart, she is just an open book. Right? There's not like any mistake in what she thinks and what she believes. Of course, there's always a line between of what is good criticism and creative input and just plain rudeness. So that comes down to it. So, but I cannot speak to that. I just see a lot of people actually pointing out that she kind of went overboard, for the lack of a better word. But we all think back of the whole, and again, nothing to, I don't want to bring back the war, but just about, like Ukraine, and Ukraine, Crimea is Ukraine. And she's like, of course. Oh gosh, I remember all of that. Good times. That was another song that then decided to pull out, and all the drama, and oh gosh, that's Ukraine. Jamala meme queen of Eurovision. Yes. You know what? I gravitate towards people that have unique personalities and are interesting. Again, the line of rude and obnoxious is there, right? But I do find her interesting. Thomas is saying, "Hi, Matt. Hoi. My theory is that people tend to vote more for songs with nostalgic sound or retro music because it reminds them of better times. We saw that a lot recently in NFs, ESC, and JESC. Fair. And I think, retro is back, right? Because I'm equally guilty of that. Every time a song that is done well, and has an 80s sound, winner, chicken dinner. I mean, Denmark of last year, not 22, 21, slowly became one of my favorites. Just loved it. I love 80s music. At my wedding, all music that will be played will be 80s. So yes, it's certainly possible, and especially considering what Ukraine is in. It is a theory, may or may not be accurate, but it's just what it is. And maybe there's so many theories, but that's what we do. We just contemplate, come up with our own conspiracies. Maybe people in Ukraine, I mean, it's been now how long? 10 months, 8 months? Gosh, February it started, right? Yeah, 10 months since the war broke out. Maybe they just really don't want to have sad and depressing music. Could be as well. They just want to have something upbeat and a little bit less, let's just share our feelings and let's just have fun. I don't know. I am not in the situation, and I cannot really relate to it. So, but whatever their decision is, or the reason behind it, we got to respect it, because that is what they want to go. Verka's performance was also very retro. That is true. And I loved it for that. And it has almost I remember Schlager feel to it. So bring on the retro. And we need diversity at the contest anyway. So maybe Ukraine in the end will have the ability to stand out a little bit for that exact reason. Who knows? But I'm glad we have our first song in the running. And now we have to actually not wait that long, because next weekend we'll have the second song. Who would have thought that we're going to have a break? But we're going to have Albania's Festivale e Këngës. And then we have two songs, and you can all do your top 2 videos. Oh, let me guess. Oh no, everyone's going to do their top 1 video. Oh no. I sometimes really hate YouTube. That is just not what I want. But yeah, so that is where we're at right now. And that being said, and we can always, by the way, even though I'm moving on to another topic, feel free to come back to Ukraine at any point in time. But I also want to talk about some of the other things that have happened. And one of the things that we got the snippets from Belgium. And I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just doing a quick recap of my reaction to the snippets of the Belgians Eurosong entries. Check it. Catchy. Oh, whistling and whispering. This is a winner, my friend. Okay, this is Amanda Tienfort effect. Oh, this is what I want France to send. The dress is amazing too. You're either gonna like this one or you don't. There's not a lot of middle room. Ooh. Listen to the strings. Oh my god. Okay. This is very Belgium 2016 to me. Songs are right. Oh, stop. Melodically, average, safe, doesn't stand out per se, just ooh la la. Always ready for some ooh la la music. Some Disney vibes. Nice beat, I guess. Cutting it down, picking my top 3 based on this short snippet. That's right. That was my quick run. If you want to watch the whole video, it's on our YouTube channel to see, a little bit more detailed. Granted, the problem is we only have like very, very short clips, and I will not live down. Thank you, AJ, for pointing that out again. That he looks like Tom Dice. I didn't follow up on that until after I posted the video because I completely forgot. It is Tom Dice. Yeah, like, oh man, it kind of looks like him. It's been 12 years, almost 13 years, so forgive me. But I didn't even catch me that there is a possibility that this could be him. So yeah, so I watched them. A lot of people again online were a little more like pessimistic about the quality. I think there are several songs that are on my radar, and the one that probably personally stood out most to me was Shireen Same Minuimpa. And then we're going back to the theme of retro. It totally had a retro feel, but it had such an uplifting, fun feel to it as well. So yeah, that one stood out to be the most, and right now is definitely the standout song as of right now to me. Ruben asked, who's Tom Dice? Tom Dice represented Belgium in 2010 with Me and My Guitar, and it was significant because until that point, Belgium just kept missing qualifications, and finally he brought it back, the country, to the grand final, and even finished in the top 10, almost winning the jury vote. So yeah, it was a pretty big deal. Connor is saying your song is giving me UK national selection vibes from You Decide. Oh, that is a fair comparison. Now, a lot of people are saying that the winner is already known. Amira's Carnival, right? The Carnival. That she is already internally selected, and the other ones were just giving a spot to perform with them. I don't know about that. I honestly would not go into that, but I think it was one of the ones that stood out to me the most. Again, has whistling, has whispering, and I want to see the whole package to judge it completely. But it certainly had a good first impression, but I'm still leaning towards my number one. And then, of course, there is the Lordy, not copycat, but inspired music there that was very interesting. And yeah, I am intrigued. I'm a little bit, of course, disappointed that people are again a little bit negative, I guess. But I have it was interesting because was like 3 years ago now, I did like reacting to all entries of Belgium at the contest since they joined the contest. I can't say that they usually cater to my own personal taste, even when they do well. It's just a taste thing. But the last 3 years, they have delivered based on my taste. I know Jeremy got a lot of slack last year. People did not like that song. I loved it. I wasn't quite as impressed live with it initially, but then he pulled himself together. I loved it. And I loved Hooverphonic songs of the past couple of years. Belgium has delivered according to my taste for sure. So I'm hoping that they will continue. They haven't really made it as far as like my number one spot or anything like that, but they're on the right track. They are on the right track. So I am super excited about what Belgium has to offer. The thing is, they released the snippets so early that we have to wait. Well, the actual result show is not until mid-February, like the 14th, I believe. So we have to be a little bit more patient there as well. So I'm curious what other people are thinking. If you have a similar opinion as I do in terms of who your favorites were, at ESC United in the chat as well. Larindi, I do see you mentioning Spain. Everyone comparing the channel. We're going to talk about Spain in just a moment as well. So that is another one that is going to come out soon. But AJ saying Belgium should badly try to get Loic back. Belgium should look back involved somehow. He came fourth in 2015. The song that I didn't personally care for until live. So very well done. Yeah, that was good times. But then 2017 again. I mean, that was 3 years where Belgium ended up in the top 10. Right? So they have what it takes. So we shall see. There's a little fly here. So yes, I hope there will be more excitement come for Belgium at some point, because right now I don't see much interest in that one. So let's jump right into Spain. As pointed out, Benidorm Fest 2023, and we have several famous names that are in the running for Benidorm Fest, trying to snatch the crown away from Chanel in Spain, who has become a hero after being like the villain. I mentioned that earlier, but that's how it goes sometimes. The Spanish fans are one of the most passionate Eurovision fans, that's for sure. We have a lot of returnees from the Operación Triunfo over the years that are taking part. Agani is one of them. Alfred, who represented Spain in 2018, is trying his luck again. Famous won as well a few years ago, but didn't win the Eurovision show, therefore didn't go to Eurovision. He didn't have the strongest song. There's also a drag queen in the running, Sharon. So there are several interesting options there. And interestingly enough, the songs apparently will be released tomorrow. Today is Saturday. So December the 18th, the songs will be out and we get to listen to them. And I think I'll react to them. Although one of the most painful things, and Ruben, I know you, if you're still in the chat, I think you know it better than anybody else. Spain is horrible when it comes to copyright. They block the entire video. They take it down. It's very difficult with them. So hopefully it'll, you got to be a little bit more creative around that. And keep in mind, no one's breaking the law because it's all under Fair Use Law Act, right? But if you want to go through the process of disputing it on YouTube, it takes forever. And then you got to go back and forth. And we rather just not go for that, because by then the video's old and nobody cares. So yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I am really curious because last year so gosh, my brain just went completely. I got a message like I got a weather alert. So I was like, oh no, we got a weather alert. I need to be careful here. So my brain just went completely a wrong track. Anyways, last year's they had a lot of popular songs. Benidorm Fest really was, even if Chanel would have flopped at Eurovision, thankfully she didn't. But let's just say her results would have been less than ideal. Benidorm in itself was a big improvement from prior years. So many good songs, and Chanel was usually not my kind of music, right? But there were so many other songs that I preferred, but I couldn't even deny the quality or give Chanel winning, because even though there were so many other songs that were awesome, she had a great song too. So we need that kind of quality. And unfortunately, of course, there will be people saying, well, it's not as good as last year. People always compare it, and they're so used to the old songs that it's hard to immediately grab the same kind of affection. That was interesting. Never live streaming Benidorm because yes, I got a strike last year. Ruben reacts. So I don't know, when you say live streaming, I never live stream these shows because you are not allowed to have YouTube does not allow live streaming another live stream on your camera. If you do that, it's automatically blocked. It happened to us once at Eurovision, I think in the year 2017, I want to say, even though it was only the press conference of the semifinal qualifiers, not even like anything else, right? But it got immediately shut down and we got a strike and we couldn't live stream. It was horrible. So yeah. So I'm not sure if that's what you're doing, but that's usually what happens if you do that. Then they give you a strike, and then it has to expire and blah blah blah. Couldn't live stream for 3 months on my main channel. It was horrible. But even in general, they just block every video. And Connor is saying Benidorm Fest was one of my favorite national selections last year. Here's hoping they continue this year. I couldn't agree more. And I know my favorite song would have not been the right choice for Eurovision because I loved Ay Mama to pieces, but I understand it probably wouldn't have gotten them at third place. But I don't root for the song that I think can do best at Eurovision. I root for the song that I like the most, right? And everybody should do that. Stop putting this creative or like that, I want this. No, just vote for the song that you like, not what you think. And thank you very much, Osiris, for reminding everyone to ask a question, type at ESC united. Jade Funky Coffin is saying, I love how we get so much Eurovision news every single week. It honestly feels like a huge advent calendar. The nice thing is now that the season is busy every day, I can do live streams every week now. I was supposed to have Roy on today, by the way, and that guy canceled on me last minute. Not last minute. That is not fair. He told me a couple of days ago that he couldn't make it. I'm like, fine, whatever. Who cares? You're on European television now. You don't need me anymore. Screw you. So, but yeah, so that's my goal now that I can get that. But yeah, so anyways, going back to Spain, yes, I just love that song so much. It was so catchy, so fun, and so clever. But I understand it probably would have confused a lot of casual fans and certainly the juries, but I didn't care. I loved it to pieces. But that's just how it goes. I'll just root for this. And Spain is just wonderful to see them back. Hopefully, I said the same thing about the UK. This is not a fluke. And this is the new path that they've chosen. They're going to be the next Netherlands, where they're just going to impress us every single year. And I really want to go to Spain. I mean, I'm probably going to Spain next year for the Barcelona Eurovision party. Knock on wood. Anybody wants to meet up? I wish, this is where I'm getting really upset that I live in California, because I can't just fly over there. It's so expensive, and then paying for accommodation, it's tough. Yeah. I see people talking about Roy. Yes, Roy popped up. Good for him. It's funny how that sometimes random. Sometimes, what television was I on last? I mean, oftentimes in Sweden. I was in France. Oh, doing Junior Eurovision. I got all the comments because I was in the French video or something like that in France. So this stuff happens. They pick some videos that they see and then they put the snippets in. They didn't put me in this time. How dare they? How dare they? But I don't think I was very animated at that time. They're like getting, people are being very excited. So yeah. So that is Spain. Check back our channel. I will do my best. I don't know how long editing will take. It's going to take me 10 hours just to edit those Spanish videos. But I'll give it a shot anyways, because why not? And by the way, I just wanted to add that real quick. Not sure how much stock we put into it, but the news broke that we may have a returning country in 2024. I personally always hold my breath, not holding my breath, I should say, because we've heard that before from other countries. But RTL, the broadcaster in Luxembourg, is saying that they are considering returning. Not next year, because it's a little too late, but in the year 2024. And they said the following. Prime Minister Xavier Bettel, who is also Minister for Communications and Media, has addressed the subject with the government participation. It would come at a high cost, particularly if the country were to win the contest, but the positive impact in return will be substantial. And I think they should emphasize the last word. It's substantial. The benefits, there are net benefits of taking part in Eurovision, and broadcasters always need to remember that you have the ability to not host. I know the EBA say, well, we ask you for the ability to host the contest. You can say yes, but if you don't have the criteria and not a big enough arena or whatever it may be, they will say, sorry, you don't have any suitable venue. We're going to give it to somebody else. So I would not stress about it that much, but it would be wonderful to have Luxembourg back. They last took part in 1993, so 30 years ago. 30 years ago was the last time they took the Eurovision stage, and yet to this day, they still have one of the most successful winning. Yeah, they won 5 times, right? So not a lot of countries have passed them. Yes, we had Ireland and Sweden passed them, and some others tied, but they're still, they come back, win twice, and they're already tied with Ireland. That's how close they are. And it's not a small country. I mean, it's a small country. But yeah, it is a small country, but it is bigger than Iceland. It's bigger than Montenegro. And guess what? It's bigger than San Marino. And I know size is not important. Double entendre there, unintentional. But, the size of a country shouldn't be that important. And there is a huge fan base there. And some of the most iconic winners come from, Luxembourg. So I don't see why not. And somebody said in the chat, it's small, but it rich. But it rich. English, not good. So yes, I totally see that coming as well. So I think it would be a wonderful, wonderful thing for them to return. However, we've heard that about Andorra. Monaco all of a sudden popped up and said, maybe, just kidding. We get every year like the Turkey rumors, and it's getting a little old. It would be nice to have a returning for once. Bring back Slovakia. I want to say bring back Hungary, but that I'm not counting on at this point, unfortunately. But bring back some of the oldies, especially now that we're down to 37 countries. And I don't anticipate Russia or Belarus being allowed to return anytime soon, even if things improve, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, it's just, it would be nice. It would be so nice. Um, Love and health to you, Matt. Keep up the nice and professional as always. Luxembourg really should take part. They always ask artists outside their country too. That's the thing. I mean, Luxembourg, there won't be a lack of interest, even if they don't have a talent, a person inside the country that can take part, right? We've done that. They can get someone from Germany, from France, or they can do what San Marino is doing, right? And I would love that. We get 2 of those. So there are so many things that they can do, and I just really hope we need more of that, because one of the things, yes, having 1 year with low numbers of participants that we have in 23 with 37 countries is not the end of the world, because it's a one-time thing if it's a fluke. But if we see a pattern here and the number goes down or doesn't go up, a change needs to happen. And I think the EBU should focus on bringing countries back. And some of the broadcasters were very, very open about the reason why they didn't do it. It's Kaching, right? The cost went up significantly. Understand there is inflation and everything that's going on. But is there maybe a consideration to scale down the contest in terms of production? All these crazy things that are happening, make it more affordable for countries to take part? Maybe there should be some consideration in that area. That would be my thinking, at least. I see already ESC manga saying ESC 23 top 1 Tvorchi hard steel. Yay! Well, they're technically they're the first place and also the last place. And you know what's crazy about it to me? You know, as I mentioned earlier, people will put up the top 1 video and then it gets 20,000 views. It's maybe just me, but I feel like I know the outcome. And I know that I personally don't like even making videos with top 2, top 3 stuff, but I know a lot of people want me to do it for the fan ranking, so I will do that. But I'm not going to do that for one song. Maybe after Albania is known, I will do that. Are you recording your reaction after this to the winning song? Oh, Ruben, I hate that you call me out like that. You suck. And by suck, you mean you're so good at this. I recorded the top 3 thinking there's no way that any of the other songs will win. So I did not do a reaction video to the winning song. I thought there's no way this is going to win. So I recorded like those 3. I'm like, one of those 3 will win. Come on. We all know it. And then I was like, so I used the time after those 3 songs to edit the video, start editing, and then it didn't win. I'm like, I didn't see it coming. And now it would be an dishonest reaction if I do react now, because I've seen it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to pretend that I'm seeing it for the first time. And I don't like to do reaction videos of performances and that I've seen already, because it's just, I would be pretending to have a certain strong reaction. And that's just not who I am. That's why. Oh, yes. I got a little cocky there. I'm getting called out in the chat. It's really, I was like, after 3 amazing songs, right? I was like, oh my God, all 3 from song 4 through 6. I'm like, any of these songs, winner, chicken dinner. There's nothing else. Nobody has a shot. So like, let me work on this. And yeah, that bit me in the butt. It bit me in the butt big time. AJ saying, opinions on Albania not releasing the songs before FIINKA this time. You like this idea or not? Well, for selfish reasons, I don't. For selfish reasons, I don't like it. For selfless reasons, I can see that happening because maybe they really just want to go with this first impression rather than this building a fan base and creating a hype around a song and giving them an unfair advantage, for the lack of a better word. I can see them at least trying that. It sucks because, one less video for me to make. But hey, that's just how cookie crumbles. So I understand why they're trying and to see. But what I really like about Albania this time around, that they basically treat Festivale Ikengas like Sanremo has been handling it to a certain extent, that the winner of Festival Ikengas is not the Eurovision entrant going forward. It might, but actually in Albania, I read that they will have the jury picking the winner of Festival Ikengas, and then the televote, 100% televote, will pick the Eurovision winner, or the Eurovision winner, but the Eurovision entrant. So that is a very smart, and I think they are really learning Albania to pick songs that maybe are more suitable. Although I will say I like a lot of the Albanian entries. They just never pick my favorite, but I still like them. Yeah. So Connor Wells is saying, Sam Ryder is doing the New Year's Eve concert on BBC. I wonder if we'll get an announcement about the logo and slogan during the show. Could be. I don't know, me personally, if that would be the wisest choice to put it there, because people will be busy. When you make a major announcement like that, you want to have the attention from everybody. Do you know what I mean? People from all across the continent, the world. And everyone will be busy with celebrating New Year. So I think they should pick a different time to do that. It would be kind of epic to do it at that point, but I think to create more hype, I would do it at a different time. But that is just me. So as always, questions in the chat at ESC United. We still have a few more minutes. Just talk general Eurovision stuff. And if I miss your question, post it again a few minutes later. Why do some countries choose to organize a national final while others don't? What makes the difference? Akon, multiple reasons. There's more than one answer to this. I need to drink here. Number one, money. Hosting a national final costs money. You have to put it on the air, and it's not cheap. So some people opt, we're not going to spend money on this. We're just going to pick something internally, and therefore that's that. Other countries just learned that the people of their nation, the viewers, aren't necessarily the most effective folks to pick a song. You can put Netherlands, Switzerland in the category. Netherlands had national finals in the past. Switzerland, and as soon as they switched to internal selections, they started doing better at the contest. Netherlands started picking internally starting in 2019, and they got 3 direct qualifications with 2 top 4 results, right? A 3rd and a 4th place. So they're like, yeah, it makes sense that we not let the Swiss people pick it. They're neutral anyways, right? And then in the Netherlands, same thing. I mean, although I really love 2012 song, but the point is their national finals flopped big time. And starting 2013, they went internal, and with one exception, they always qualified, including a win and many great results. So it really depends. It really, really depends. I personally, for selfish reasons and just I like a democracy, I would prefer if everyone would have a national final, regardless of the results, because it's just more fun and you get really excited about an entry like that you actually selected. Although that could backfire as well when a less than popular song wins. Let's see here. But the junior selection in the Netherlands is so amassing, Julia. Yeah, that is interesting, right? The Netherlands at the adult version is internal, but the junior version is a big national final. I think they just want to give more kids the ability to be on stage and have fun, right? I think that's my thinking there. I'm just pulling things out of my ass, but it would, common sense would dictate that, right? So that would be my thinking. Akon is saying, I wanted to ask that because I have observed that generally authoritarian governments tend not to organize a national final. I thought it may be about politics. So now that is the can of worms that I'm scared to open now. Leave it locked. I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily that is accurate. It also depends on people have different interpretations or what really authoritarian government is, are we talking about Russia right now? And Russia was not, of course, in this year, but Russia, even Belarus, the traditionally authoritarian countries, they've had national finals. Russia went back and forth between national finals and internal selection. Belarus almost always had a national final. Now you can make the case that it's a farce, and then some can say some acts were chosen before that, but they still have it. Azerbaijan is another one that you mentioned. Azerbaijan has almost always picked the entry. I think the only time, let me go back, I think was 2000, the debut in 2008, I think was the only time where they had a national final. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing one. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the only time they had a national final. And so it's just what they're doing. The Netherlands are not known to be an authoritarian country. And there are other countries that have done that. I'm trying to think. There's so many other countries. Greece had a mixed bag. What other country is there that is traditionally almost always selecting internally? Greece had like a little mix. More often than not, they pick internally these days. But again, that changes. Who else picks internally? Oh my God. Switzerland. Belgium had it for a few years, but now they had also some national finals in between. Help me out, people. Azerbaijan, Armenia, right? And Armenia had national finals as well, though, but lately they had just national finals. Georgia has national finals. Yeah, I think most of them do actually, now thinking about it, right? So Turkey had mostly internal selection as well. That is true, but they've been gone for so long. Jury's got the winner right, but the public are so easily distracted by mediocrity, surrounded by shiny stage shows. That's always a massive problem in ESC. Oh, Andy, bringing me another can of worms here, huh? How dare you? But I will go there. I will go there. I think I agree with you to a certain extent. And here's the thing. I do agree that televoters, when you say they get distracted by shiny things, they certainly get more distracted by optics sometimes, right? The moment, the silliness, all that stuff. And that's why come to 2009, the juries returned in the grand finals, although, we have changed for 22 as well, 23. I agree with you on that sometimes they get, distracted by less quality, which is subjective, of course. That's why the juries came back. I found myself being in a very mixed bag. Sometimes I also feel that the juries get too stuck on certain aspects of the song and forget the song quality overall as well. So I feel both systems flawed, but by bringing them together and have one combined vote, we are arriving at a less flawed outcome. And looking at personal taste and my ranking, it's a mixed bag. I half agree with the juries and half agree with the televoters. It is very, very interesting. Some of my favorites were jury winners and that flopped in the televote, like Austria 2018, Nobody But You. Oh, love that song. So glad that the jury saved it. Deserved so much more. The televoters didn't get it right. But then last year, I was pissed that they drowned Moldova. I love that song. That was ultimately one of my favorites in the end. So you never know. You never know how it's going to go. Do you have any hopes or gut feeling towards 2023? My gut feeling in terms of song quality or hosting. So song quality, I feel as we're going to get a solid year. That's my feeling. I think we're going to get I can say, I think overall 22, I personally prefer 21 music over 22 overall. So I'm hoping that 23 will beat 22, and I feel like that's what we're going towards. That doesn't mean 22 was a bad year. I'm not saying that, but I think overall I had a few more whoa songs in 21 compared to 22. And I want these standout favorites as well again in 23, and lots of good songs to choose from. And so in terms of organization, I am surprisingly optimistic or confident that the UK, the BBC, will put together a really good show. They know, number one, they have the money. Number two, they have the talent. And number three, they have the will. They really want to put this together. This is an amazing opportunity, and they will not waste that. They have done, even though they haven't hosted junior or the adult version, at least in a long time. They've hosted like the celebration show before. It was great, and they will put a lot of effort and money into this. So I am almost confident they're going to have a great show. And I will be biased because I love dry, sarcastic sense of humor that the Brits have. So I'm looking forward to that. Absolutely. So I'm pretty confident. When was the last time a Eurovision winning song went first in both public and the jury? 2018, if I'm 17, if I'm not mistaken. 2017, Salvador Sobral came both first with juries and televoters. In 2018, let me see if my memory all. In 2018, Israel came third in the juries, first in the televote. 2019, the Netherlands came third in the juries, second in the televote. Then 21, Italy came fourth with the juries and first with the televote. Same for Ukraine. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but I want to be right. And then even before that, 2016, Jamala came second, both groups. In 2015, Mans didn't win the televote. They came first with juries, third with the televote. And then Austria, 2014. Also, Conchita Wurst won the televote and the juries. So those were the two. Please tell me I'm right. I want to be right. Sam Ryder's debut album has reached #1 in the UK. So much Eurovision being a career killer. Ali, I know you're not following my Twitter. Otherwise, you wouldn't have posted it because I said the exact same thing yesterday. I'm like, oh, destroys my career. And here comes Sam Ryder. No, maybe your shitty music is what causes your career to be destroyed. Now, this was a little harsh, but I don't care. I just don't like when people say that, because clearly that could not be further from the truth. There is that fear because UK hasn't had really good music at Eurovision. They have really good music, but not at Eurovision. So that is the problem here. But Sam Ryder, just like, not a big deal. And he had the right attitude, he had the talent, and he had the right song, and it all came together. Now, the UK shouldn't always expect to get a second place, but if they are more consistent, that'll be a different story, because you will flop in between. No country always has good results. Going back to the Netherlands, who's like been doing good almost every year, but 2015, that kind of flopped. 2018 was just okay. Even Sweden has had the bad years, not qualifying in 2010, and then the big, although was still great with the juries, but the televote flop in 2017. Tusse was only like on the right side of the scoreboard. So everyone can have like just meh years, and you will. But it's all about being consistent and putting forward quality, and then you get a lot of good results with some boo-boos in between that are very upsetting. Any names on the Sanremo selection you are looking forward to? So Sanremo, the Italian show, which is not a national final traditionally, has released the names, and I'm being called out again here. I have not looked at the list yet. So since you mentioned it, I am bringing it up right now. I am not an expert on Italian music, and the problem is I don't remember all of the names. I think Ultima was before in there, so he sounds awfully familiar, the name. I know Marco Mengoni, who represented Italy in 2013. I'm looking at some of the other ones here that should stand out. Just based on the names, nope, none of them ring a bell. So maybe some people are a little bit more well-versed in the Italian artists in Sanremo. Let me know who I should be aware of, at least. I would like to know that. Mans was the prize that I gladly played for the best ESC ever, along with other. I read it, but I didn't read it. So let me start over. Mans was the prize that I gladly paid for the best ESC ever, along with Azerbaijan for Lorraine. Oh, got it. I'm so sorry. I'm just like, I don't. Yeah. Got it now. Well, that makes sense. I don't know. I read that the preliminary budget for Eurovision 23 is 14 million pounds, which is about the same amount I have to pay to spend 2 weeks in Liverpool. It is so expensive. I haven't booked a room yet. Okay. You know, I always get these comments, Matt, you're so nice and professional. Thank you for everything. And I'm like, you're welcome. But now Evil Matt is coming out. My horns are growing. Are you ready? I cannot wait for people fail to get tickets. So they are canceling their Airbnbs and I can get something that's affordable. Is that terrible? Is that terrible? I'm wishing for people not to get tickets. This is not right. This ain't right. But I know that's usually how it goes because all these Airbnbs that just jack up the prices, you know, like hundreds of pounds a night, and then people cancel them because they didn't get tickets, and then the prices drop. And it usually happens every year. So I'm hoping for that to happen this year again. And yes, it's evil, it's wrong, it's inappropriate, and I should apologize, but I'm not. So, but seriously, so that is certainly how it goes. Is that more or less than last year? Yes. A lot of, yes, a lot of prices. So when did I get I got an apartment like in January, maybe something like that. But Turin was even more affordable than Liverpool. And Turin was expensive. So I will talk to my team and see who goes. So maybe we just, because I'm around my team. Well, not last year because it was different, but I'm usually around the people all day long. So I do like to have my own place to get back to where I can work and just take a deep breath and, you know, have my mat time. But in this case, we may have to just bunker up and get a place together. So it is basically that's what it is. So it is unfortunate, but maybe there is still hope. And the shitty part was also last year that there were no hotels that were reserved for press. Every year, there's like an allocated number of hotel rooms that you can go through Eurovision.tv and book it. And they didn't have that last year. They're like, you're on your own. I already have that backup plan. That stinks. So I don't know if that'll continue this year again, or if they will put forward at least some hotels where you get like a discount. And by discount, instead of paying 500 a night, you only pay 200 a night. Woohoo! Super cheap. So yeah, that is basically crazy. And Connor, you're raising a good point. I meant to add that actually. There will be a mad rush for tickets because Liverpool Arena only holds 11,000. That is his thing. So the bad thing, well, good thing for me, the bad thing is with 11,000 people only in the arena, in a country, one of the biggest countries in Europe, there's demand there, a huge demand. So especially for the grand final where everybody wants to go. So yeah, a lot of people won't get tickets. So that'll make a difference. When do you think tickets will be released? Noah's asking. After the whole Italy fiasco, I am too scared to predict. Sometimes tickets were already out in certain countries. I want to say for Germany, I already bought my tickets when it was hosted in 2011. At this point, I would anticipate tickets in January, but it really depends. Oftentimes they give like a notification like in a few weeks and then like they're on sale tomorrow, get ready. And I'm so glad that I don't have to get tickets. Not that I get into shows, but I usually, if I get press, assuming I will get press next year, who knows, I get to see the first dress rehearsal in the arena. Press is allowed to access the first dress rehearsal, which is usually the day before in the afternoon. So that is good enough for me. Oh, very good question by AJ. With no longer juries in the semis, will that night show just be another dress rehearsal for each act? Yes, that's exactly what it is. Just get an extra dress rehearsal. Now, keep in mind, even though there are no juries voting, there will most likely be backup juries. If the televote goes wrong or something is funky, they always have backup juries in case things go south. And they've done that in the past, and I expect that to happen here as well. So there will be some juries watching it, so they still need to give probably 100% just in case, but it will not be as dramatic as in previous years. So it takes a little bit away from the excitement there as well, unfortunately, but it opens up more time for myself. So, and with the live stream rules being completely changed, we cannot really live stream the show anyway. So, yeah, things will be very, very different. So it's not like you're going to miss anything anymore, except for the jury show right before the grand final. Okay, so wondering what I'm talking about. So for Junior Eurovision, the rules have changed a lot. We are no longer to live stream in the arena and be compensated for it. You can no longer do super chat. So starting next year, I will probably have to ask for support pre-Eurovision, because usually because I'm talking about Eurovision is like really expensive to go, right? And I'm trying to make up the financial aspect of it, like during Eurovision week, to break even. Never happens, but at least I get a little closer to it. Now that the EBU has said you're not allowed to live stream and make money off of it, or any sound, our hands are tied. So I have to come up with other creative ways to make up for it. So it's going to be also impacting, of course, the viewing experience for everybody else. So we just have to be a little bit more creative. So, but yeah, that is certainly in the works. Bukur is saying Romania releases the 12 final songs on Monday. It is always so weird to only have 12 songs, because we're so used to having a million songs coming from Romania. But that is exciting. Let me see on here if I have any additional info. Nope, that's it. Well, that is great news. Thank you for sharing that. I did not know that. And that means I have another video to do. The good thing is I'm off next week, so I will have time. Yay. I decided to take next week off so I can do Albania. I can do watch another Romanian songs. It's really, really nice. They showed Roy saying how Oi sound system entry slaps. Did you catch that? Yeah, that's Roy. Which was really weird. Roy has really interesting taste in music. He's not here, so I can totally talk smack about him. And he'll never find out. He often gravitates towards songs that no one else talks about. In 2021, his favorite song was Georgia, or at least before contest. Ocean, I want to hear you. So in 22, all of a sudden, Roy and I had a lot of favorites in common. And I panicked. I freaked out, because I'm like, that means all of them on my list will flop, or something is wrong with my taste. Again, he's not listening, so this is so much fun. So I was like so concerned, and then some of them did. My favorite friends flopped, unfortunately, but others did well, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, so he certainly has a unique taste, and that's what we need, right? But that's why my team is all over the map. Sean is not that different. He always has he often gravitates towards more like indie alternative sounds and songs that are not as popular. And so we did predictions, for the grand final. I was like, these people are insane. Why would you come up with such rankings? Oh gosh, but it's just how it goes sometimes. But I love that my team is not as predictable, I guess. My taste isn't either, though. This year, the Ukrainian one, I'm more in line with the masses, at least, even though the winner wasn't the same. But oftentimes, my favorites don't do well. We can bring up 2022. Where my favorite France came second to last, when Italy, that won in 2021, was one of my least favorite songs. You get my point. So it's not like I have a track record of having the popular taste. So but not bad, not as bad as Roy, and Sean. So again, neither of these two are here. So let's pick on them. It comes from a place of love. A little different. By the way, do you think that having Australia in the contest was a good choice? Because they are definitely not in Europe. It's a good choice. It's a very good choice. Israel is not in Europe. Azerbaijan's not in Europe. I could go on. The difference is that they are not an active EBU member. That's the only difference. So I'm glad that they're there. And I think we'll be welcoming other unique countries in the near future. IMHO. Who would you like to see represent the UK next year at Eurovision? How would I know? Listen, I only know the big British acts. So I don't know any of the up and coming. I'm always hoping that we'll get, and this is nothing against those talented artists. I'm just getting a little tired of the X Factor and the Voice candidates to come in. I also would love for the UK to send someone that is a little older. That's in general. I would love for have a more representation of artists that are a certain age, because we get like 18 to 25 is overrepresented. That's what I loved about Moldova. They had people in their 40s, late 40s, even like perform. That was wonderful. I loved Hooverphonic. We need more acts like that. And maybe UK can do that. I'm not talking about Humperdinck Eberdurk or whatever his name was. You know, you don't have to be 80. But I'm talking about Engelbert Humperdinck. But even like look at Russia, the grannies, party for everybody. I'm not saying they should send that. I'm just, you get my point. I like more diversity in age and all of that stuff. So who are the unique countries you think will be invited in the future? Here's the thing. I think it was the Jan Ola Sand who said that, or was it Kirsta Bjorkman? One of them. They said if or they insinuated, I should say, that if the American Song Contest flops and will not be renewed, that there is a potential that the US would be invited, which I personally am not a fan of, only because you need to earn it. I do think you need to show some sort of dedication and support of the contest before you should be let in. I am in favor of expanding the contest because, you know, the more the merrier. Inclusive. The world has gotten smaller and we all are more connected than ever. So that's why I always point out, let Kazakhstan in. That's why I'm in favor of Australia. They've been dedicated fans for a long time. I'm in favor of, you know, advertising, bringing some of the northern African countries in. So my point is, expand the contest gradually, naturally, organically, but don't force a country in just because they have a lot of money. And the US has not earned a spot at Eurovision. That would be my thing. And that's my opinion. No, I'm saying I think the US would suck at Eurovision. Probably. I mean, here's the thing though. I thought that the winning song of the American Song Contest slapped. I love that song. And I think it would have absolutely been a banger at Eurovision. I think people would have loved it. And I think it would have done really well at the contest. That doesn't mean they're always going to have that kind of music. But yeah, so but besides that, I just don't think it's a great idea to let the US in at this point. Let them handle their own. I'm hoping still that the American Song Contest will be back for a second season and they don't give up right away. They just have a lot of fixing to do on that. So that is my hope. And I love the American Song Contest. I hope they let people from outside the US vote. That would be another smart idea, Julia, to get more people interested, like an international vote, kind of what they're doing now at the Eurovision. They need to get hype the excitement and make it a little bit more clear and exciting, because this whole thing, like 10 songs perform and then there's a break after every performance, and then at the very end we're going to do it really quick. We're going to do a jury qualifier, and then the following week we find out who qualifies. Like, people don't remember the songs at that point. Now it has to be each night, put it together and get it done. Don't just do, I understand that it is very good and a smart idea to have a little bit of introduction of the acts and the state, but not this broken out of such a long period of time and then just leave no time for a recap barely, and then the quick voting, and it just was not well executed. But I do think it showed a lot of potential, and like there was a lot of diversity in song quality as well, and we had some bigger names in there, at least like former names. Macy Gray is maybe a little older, but Michael Bolton, a legend. You know, you get my point. Thomas is asking, from a financial point of view, the US contributes to the contest and help Eurovision keeping the same level in production the next years. Could it be idea? So that's the only good point you're raising there, Thomas. If the EBU were to say, hey, America, you pay this set amount of money, and that'll help smaller countries in Europe to take part. So we can bring back Andorra, we can bring back Bulgaria, we can bring back Slovakia, and all. I'm just curious, would that be a compromise that people could accept? And I still could see people saying no, but I'm listening. It just still feels wrong to me because it's like you're buying your way into Eurovision. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, I'm not a fan of that either. I feel like there needs to be a better alternative than just buying your way into it. And I understand the Big Five are buying their way into their finals, but I don't know. I would have to marinate over that one. I need to marinate. With the new online vote, they could potentially map out the countries have the most interest in the contest. The limits could be, yeah. I think they kind of know, though, just by viewing figures where they're coming from, right? When people watch it online, I think they know where they're coming from. So I don't think the voting itself would make a difference. The only difference could be that they can see who is willing to put money behind it. Because, you know, you still, in America at least, when you vote for, like at The Voice or whatever, you vote for free, right? You just send a text and you don't pay, except for your text plan, whatever it may be. But it's not like they charge you a fee. At Eurovision, they charge you an additional fee usually, right? Or at least in most countries. And I do know that the international vote, you have to register and pay to vote. I don't know how much it's going to be, but that maybe there's more of an incentive for people to actually be actively involved. I'll be most likely in UK, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, you get my point. Oh, Julia is pointing, I would love that. It's so sad when countries can't participate for financial reasons. That's what I'm saying. I'm still thinking it would be best if the EBU could come up with a way to maybe scale back certain things at Eurovision and then give smaller countries the ability to come in. The alternative would be, again, let in rich countries. But it just drives me nuts, that thought process again. Rich countries get that ticket in because, you know, and then they always have all the benefits. Anyways, so that is where we're at right now. And somebody's asking if I'm watching the World Cup final tomorrow. I will watch it on the side, yes. It's going to be interesting. Go France. Rooting for you big time, although that's not a good idea. Every country that I've been rooting for loses. My dream final was Morocco against Croatia, but that didn't happen. But honestly, no, I was happy with France as well. So I'm rooting for the Europeans. I'm biased. So since the US was out and Germany didn't even really was there in the first place, who cares? Who cares? Anyways, thanks again for liking this video and subscribing. I will be back definitely next week for Albania, but more videos to come on the channel here as well. So make sure to follow. I'll talk to you all later. Have a good night.